end of the year review financially, so I don't know what is useful necessarily to you. So if I don't cover something that you need to know about, let me know and I can email you. There's probably going to be some questions that I need to go back and pull checks or pull deposits. I always have everything scanned and all my backup data. So if I miss anything, don't hesitate to let me know. So we'll just start with the top page, which is everyone's bill. The top 5 lines are the membership dues. Last year, those dues were $41.25. This year, they're $50 even, and that's per quarter. So the reason for the upswing is because the dues went up, international and district. The magazine is the same, the club insurance is the same, Hicksville membership is the same, but they went up between the two of them $8.75. So we had to make up for that. The meals are the same. Last year they were $8.50 a piece. They're the same. The E-Ray is a voluntary donation. It's the same. But Larry would like a one-time polio plus volunteer donation of $25 from each member. So overall, the membership has really only gone up $8.75 per quarter. So that'll cover that front page. As you can see, some of you had a previous balance, some of you might have had a credit for something, or you have the annual picnic is billed at the bottom. So your balance due is due by June 30th of next year. Some like to pay quarterly, some like to pay half, some like to pay it all. It doesn't really matter to me, however you want to do it, and I can always give you a statement at any time to catch you up where you're at. When a payment is received in the next fiscal year, I missed 2. I missed Kirk and I missed Mr. Post. They actually got billed again, but they had just paid a day late, which is no big deal, absolutely perfectly fine, but I am human and I look at fiscal years for tax purposes, so my brain is programmed that way. So by all means, I'm fallible, and if you think you paid something that you know, just let me know. It's not a problem. But I run on fiscal years. So you've got the income. So the income for the year, we received $17,329.84. That's at the bottom of page, or the top of page 2 of 4. That's the total income that we received for the year. And then the total expenses for the year is at the bottom of page 4 of 4, and that was $23,562.04, 582, I don't know. Anyway, we had a net loss. Absolutely normal to have that. If you are a 501c3, you are not supposed to make money. Sit on a big bank, it's not supposed to happen. We're supposed to help the communities. So the reason for a net loss is a couple of things, many things actually, but it goes into, I'll get to the key takeaways at the end. So if we flop over to the sponsorships, which is behind the profit and loss statement. Since I came on in the middle of 2019, the data for 2019 is not clear enough for me to be able to make sure of 19 to 20. However, 20 to 21, 21 to 22, and of course this year will be exact to the penny. So you can see we've sponsored, you know, many things consistently. The sponsorship dollars for 21 and 22, the one we just finished, was $3,719.90. Yes, that's down from 2021, but you need to keep in mind we had a $3,000 safety kiosk that was a grant. So it really wasn't our money, it was money we received, but it was promise to the school. So that goes into that bottom line of the negative profit and loss. You have to remember. So that's why I have an asterisk on 2021, is because of that's the COVID year. It's really hard to measure anything. We all are business owners against the COVID year. So I want you always to keep that in mind going forward in the future years as well. So, but if you look back at 19 and 20 versus 21 and 22, we obviously did a lot more sponsorships, helped a lot more people, and that goes into that profit and loss, net loss, because we were out there in the community, which is fantastic. Going down to the fundraising, the can that is passed around at the beginning, past year, we earned $647.43. The year before, COVID year, we only met part of the time, so we had less in the can. And we had more in the can versus 19 and 20. Fellowship, you guys are a lot poorer last year because you got fined a lot more versus, of course, the COVID year we weren't here. So that's a big deal. Bank interest is, where it's at. And then we did have a couple outside donations. Larry Culler's family donated some money. If you look down at the lunch record, a lot of people wonder, what is my $8.50 doing or whatever. Well, the average Rotarians, I kept track of every single week last year, and I'm going to do it for this year. We averaged about 16 members per meeting, but we paid the kitchen for 28 members, irrelevant of who showed up. So as you can see, when we have a membership of, we had 23 paying members last year, but you paid 28, that's income we didn't receive, the five people, so that plays into that net loss. We have to pay whether we eat or not. So just keep that in mind. When you see a net loss, it's not necessarily a negative thing, it's just a matter of circumstance. So far in 2022, we have 22 paying members for lunches. We're averaging 14 people a meeting. The guests, we averaged 3 guests per meeting last year, and 1 so far this year. Like I told you, we paid for 28 meals last year. This year we're paying for 22 meals. For the lunch record, the amount that we collected was $7,288. Look back at 19 and 20. We had a lot more members paying dues and meals and E-Ray and whatever. So that's why it's going to look a little bit different. If you don't have the income and you still have the expenses, you're going to have a net loss, just the way it is. But where you see the amount collected from Rotarians was $7,288.35. We paid Grace United Methodist $9,248.75. Back into that net loss. It's got to come from somewhere. So, if you flip to the back, I'll just overview everything and then come back for your questions, if that's okay. Some of our very passionate things that we did this past year that we are very proud of is the Van Crest blanket drive. We really did a great job. I think you wanted to know, we've always wanted to know how the pancake dinner went and some of those things, so that's why I picked the Van Crest blanket drive out. The Christmas party, that was a large net loss, but wow, anybody who went, was that not outstanding? So I think we all deserved a really nice evening. So the concert series so far, we are 3 in. We are netting income of $150. This coming week, Mike has told me that we will not be giving sailors any money because we have enough leftover food. So if we make, an average of $60 for that concert, that's going to help us out too. So I'd like to pop to the back to a couple of the key takeaways, and then we'll go on to the questions. So as I spoke, the 2021 year was shortened because of COVID. Everybody still paid, but we weren't here to pay for lunches. Everybody got a credit for 21-22, so that meant you paid less if you had a credit, so there's less income for this year. So we credited members, I spoke of that. Second paragraph, 2021, we had to pay Grace United Methodist the least we've paid them, which was $6,913. We went back to normal last year. So we paid them slightly less than the year before, but still, it's hard to compare those 2 years because of COVID. Another thing that changed for me as a treasurer partway through the year was I was told to pay for guests in addition to the 28 members that are sitting here. Larry never clued me in on that. I don't know when. So we started that halfway through the year. So like bike day, we told them that we would have 11 bikes. We had to pay them for 11 Mesa bike riders, whether 2 showed up or 11. Well, 8 showed up, which is fine, no problem, no complaints, but that goes into that net loss. So it doesn't reflect on any person, people, group, nothing. It's just the way it is. We have a business to run here. So going forward, we've got a new process in line. So when we have guests, I make a note. That way we can have a little bit more data going forward as to, like Mr. Strasbaugh, he brought 2 other guests. Well, we needed to pay for those 3 meals. It's only fair. So that's, so that changed a little bit during the year, and it was not done in 19 and 20, and it was not done the year before. So 2019 to 21, we had a lot more members, which meant a lot more money. So we didn't have that this year. We received that COVID grant to help the school out with the kiosk, which added sponsorship, visibility, and income, and made our income look better. Of course, we gave it right back out. Let's see what else. I talked about the $82.50 per half a year versus $41.25 per quarter. I talked about that. International dues, this is another thing that goes into the bottom line. International dues were paid twice last year for the second half of the year. So we got a credit for the first half of this year. Shannon got an invoice, gave it to me. I had received an invoice and I paid it, it crossed. So it just makes her bottom line look worse versus Larry's bottom line is gonna look better by $1,046 because we got a credit for that. So it's just kind of the way it is. We just want to make sure that everything is paid on time or ahead of time. So things can happen. At this point, we only have 1 outstanding member invoice, which again goes into the bottom line. We paid everything, but we just didn't have the income. Okay, yes, the financials are showing a loss, but keep in mind that international that I told you about where we have a credit for this year, that 1 outstanding member, the $1,200 more in sponsorship dollars spent, the $265 fantastic Christmas party, and our wonderful blanket drive that helped so many. And then we started paying those guests that we'd never paid for prior to me. So that's what's going into the net loss. So if you look at the overall net losses, this year that just finished, we had a loss of $6,252.20. COVID year, we had a profit, $1,791.69. However, in 2019, when I took over, we still had a net loss of $720.46. We did open up a brand new account at the Hicksville Bank. It's called a super savings account. We get interest on it. There's a lot of restrictions as far as how many times we can go in and ask for money to be transferred into the checking account for things we want to do with the money. And the reason why we did that is the $10,000 that came from Alan Hilbert's family. We wanted to make sure that that was very visible so that we can track how it's spent. We want to get the most for his money. And if anyone else bequeaths anything or we receive a large gift from somebody, it's very visible in that account. FYI, your tax return has been submitted. So your 990 is finished and completed. Let's see, that's everything I have. Any questions? I threw a lot at you and you didn't have time to review anything.
On the losses, where does the money come from? I mean, is there a bank savings account that we just about take care of those losses?
Right, so where that comes from is the third row down, which is the Hicksville membership, the $12.25 from everybody. That covers it. The dollar extra, we pay the kitchen $7.50 per lunch. We charge you guys $8.50. So the dollar there, the can, the fellowship, those kind of things are covered. We definitely have, I guess I didn't even give you that. We have $11,000, more than $11,000 in the bank. So that doesn't mean we started with $17,000. That just means that's where we're at right now. And that does not include the $10,000. I will never include the $10,000 in anything we do. That's standalone. One thing I kind of like to point out, because it's really important for this club, in my opinion, is the sponsorship. If you see something, you know, that we need to be hitting harder, I think that's something that the board would like you to bring up to us, because most of the time it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. So if the Boy Scouts come in and do a presentation, it triggers us. Oh my goodness, we need to help them. Same thing with Enough Cats. That was Larry Culler's sister, and we've never done them before in the past. So, you know, we don't want to forget anybody that's definitely an important piece of our community or outskirts. Shannon, anything you want to add? No. It was easy to work with you, easy to work with Larry. Kirk's a little harder right now, but I'm working through it.
I hear that a lot.
Denise?
Yeah, Pat.
Just a clarification. If we're guaranteeing 22 meals, and we have 16 here, but we have 2 guests, how many do we pay for?
22 and 2. 24 total.
Why in the world?
That's how they do it.
That's how they want to do it now?
Yeah. We've had conversations with them, and I've always thought that wasn't, I mean, they're prepping for 22 meals each week. That's our
We
number.
guarantee them 22, whether they're members, guests, or the neighborhood pack.
Well, we've had discussions with them. They thought that was fair. We usually have, like I said, we actually have 23 members. Bob Ramus can't be here, but he still pays his dues and everything. But 22 active members that would be at the meetings each week if they were everybody was in attendance. But through talks with the kitchen and everything, they started adding those extra ones above and beyond our regular membership. So to me, we had an influx years ago when we had more in the past, but when we averaged, 35, 40, 50 members, we would have guests come from Defiance or Bryan or Antwerp. We would usually have most of our members showing up, but a couple, but then have guests show up. So we were always around that same 35, 40 meals, and it was worked out okay back in those days. Now it's, 22 members with an average of, 7 of them, 8 of them not showing up weekly.
From what I remember, for the most part, we always, most of the time we're under, even with guests and stuff, for what we guarantee.
Right.
The difference might be, though, is obviously now they're fixing about half the meals that they used to fix, so I don't know if that helps make it more worth their time or something, which we're probably still lucky to go with when it comes down to it.
And I can't speak for the church or anything, but they're getting down to that point. I'm thinking, they're getting a lot fewer or less members, being here. I know here recently, Pat passed out a new membership form at our last Huber Council. We need that kind of stuff. We need, and I think Larry wants to really go out. He wants to do an article and talk about all of our giving throughout our local community, our district, and international, how we outreach, not just all three of those facets of giving, but trying to really gain some memberships from it. We have to grow or we will not survive.
Welcome. Again, I'm sorry if I'm not giving you what you've received in the past from other treasurers. I'm happy to change the way I do things. I just kind of do it a standard way that I've done it for all of my organizations, so I'm adaptable.
It's all wrong.
We're getting more than we just so you know.
Excellent, yes.
Good, thank you.
Can I add something real quick here? We used to have bigger fundraisers. We used to generate $1,000 in one event, or back in the old days, $2,000 for the chicken barbecue. Back when we were about the only ones, they have a couple a year, not one a month. We need to do a bigger fundraiser to generate additional money for the club. The Huber thing is fine, it's a community outreach and it's fun, it's social, and it's a good time. But when you're grossing $40 and spending 2 or 3 hours, cooking and hanging out, it's okay. But we need to come up with a better way to generate some income for the club to help and move it back to community.
Thank you, Denise, and we all appreciate everything you do. Pat, did you have something to update on the foundation?
I was hoping she'd go over and I wouldn't have to talk.
Sorry.
I just have a quick update on the foundation. Again, the foundation consists of Brian Post, Susan Mack, Steve Ayers, and myself. As of June 30th, our balance in investments were $522,291.53. That is a decrease in our world index. We had a net loss of 20%, 20.29. The balanced index and the U.S. aggregate bond decreased 16.33%. We started the year at about 590,000, ended up at 522. As a 501c3, we need to donate, as the foundation, 5% of our net assets every year, or pay the IRS 2% tax, which we are now doing because we don't have the requests to donate our funds out, so we are getting that IRS penalty every year. We did hire Chris Walters of Schultz, Huber and Associates in Defiance to take care of our tax returns, and she's done a nice job. Just this week I got the final, and we have to do an estimate, and we have to pay for last year, and all those things that makes me appreciate what Jim Renzi did all those years that none of us knew about. One of the things that was asked is we'd had a restricted fund and a non-restricted fund in the prior year. So what is it now? Well, nobody in the committee knew what was restricted and what was non-restricted. We finally figured out that it was the assets that were donated to the foundation years and years ago that were used for the Tea Garden and the Ridenauer scholarships. And we found the original contracts on those, and those have expired. So for simplification, all the funds are non-restricted. We're looking for volunteers to join our board. We would like a liaison from the Rotary Board to join the foundation board so that we have some cohesion. We know what each one of us is doing. And we do need to be on the lookout for anything that you as a member or the community would like to see the foundation donate to, because I really don't like paying the IRS. I'd rather give it to a local group than give it to the government. I think we all feel that way. We have toyed with the idea of partnership, joining a partnership with the Defiance Area Foundation, and that's an ongoing discussion. And then a couple of us members sat on a couple council meetings, and we would like the foundation to donate to the splash pad, and that would be more than the 2%. So that's things that are going to come up in the future. I'm open to answer any questions, but I just really like help, because we're all blind, leading the blind here. Okay? Any questions? Perfect. You guys are easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. We appreciate all your help. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and adjourn with the pledge.